Hello brother, it's back in another video. Alright, my tennis fans, another world. I actually didn't plan to do video about tonight because I just came home from work and I'm super tired. But I just could not let it go, this topic. I just could not hold myself. And actually one of my subscribers or viewers, I don't know if he's subscribing to the channel or not, anyway, he asked me, can you please just give your comments, do a video about the latest John McEnroe statement. You have heard it. The entire world has heard it. What John McEnroe has said. John, the 7 times Grand Slam champion, the American dude who speaks about tennis in different channels and is in all the Grand Slam events and commentates about tennis. And of course he was at French Open as well, and he did a comment and he said, you know what he said? He said, Carlos Alcaraz and Sinner, these two guys would have defeated, and these two guys would have beaten prime Rafael Nadal. Do I agree with this statement or not? First of all, I'm going to speak, before I get my answer to that, first of all, I'm going to say who Rafael Nadal is. I maybe should remind John McEnroe and everybody else who agrees with him. Because it is always somebody who agrees. Right? And I'm going to give you my statement if I agree or not. Rafael Nadal won 63 freaking clay court titles. Rafael Nadal won 14 French Open titles. Rafael Nadal played 14 French Open finals. Rafael Nadal didn't go to Rafael Nadal didn't go to a 5th set in all of those French Open finals. He won all of those 14 French Open finals without going to a 5th set. And in half of them, in those 14 French Open finals, half of them, he faced 2 of the greatest tennis players of all time. Novak Djokovic, he faced in 3 French Open finals, and Roger Federer, he faced in 4 French Open finals. And he defeated both of them 7 French Open finals together in 3 sets or 4 sets. Neither of those 7 French Open finals that he faced Federer and Djokovic went to 5 sets. All right. Rafa Nadal, out of 116 matches that he played at French Open, he lost only 4 matches. And two of those losses came against the greatest tennis player of all time, Novak Djokovic. All right? And the other 2 losses were against Robbie Söderling, and that last loss where Rafa Nadal was finished last year when Rafa was 38 years old. So Rafa Nadal has lost only against 3 players at French Open. Djokovic 2 times, Söderling once, Zverev once. This 4 losses in total, but against 3 players, because Djokovic defeated him twice. Right. And out of 116 matches that Rafa Nadal played at French Open, only 3 of those matches, only 3 times he went to 5 sets. Only 3 times. 2011 against John Isner, first round, went to 5 sets. Of course, he won that. 2 years later, 2013 against Novak Djokovic in a semifinal, that went also to 5 sets. He won that 5 set. And the last 5-setter that Nadal played, and third 5-setter that Nadal played at French Open out of 116 matches, was his last run. It was his last title that he won at French Open. The 14th Grand Roland Garros that he won, and last one was back in 2022. against Felix Auger-Aliassime in the 4th round. Won that, of course. So all the 3 matches, all the 3 5-set matches that Nadal played at French Open, out of 116 matches, he won all 3 of them. Okay, this is Rafael Nadal. Maybe I've even forgotten something, but I gave a summary about him. And out of 14 Roland Garros titles that Nadal won, 4 of them he won without dropping one single set. 2008, 2010, 2017, 2020. These are the 4 years Nadal won French Open without dropping one single set. All right. So, now John McEnroe comes and says Alcaraz and Sinner would have defeated Rafael Nadal when Rafa was in his prime. So Alcaraz and Sinner would have defeated Nadal when Nadal crushed the entire tour back in 2008 when he won Roland Garros for the first time without dropping one single set. Where he make Nicolas Almagro in that run look completely helpless, and Almagro did the comment like we all know and said, this guy will win 60 or 50 French Opens, something like that. Or he will win French Opens until he becomes old player. When somebody says that kind of words about his opponent, do you know what that means? That means that he is completely steamrolling me. He's completely giving me a beatdown. He's completely giving me the hammer. He's completely toying with me. I don't have 0 chance. I have 0 chance. I have zero chance. I don't even want to be on the court with him. Can somebody please help me and take me out of this court? I don't want to be here with this guy. That's what those words from Nicolas Almagro means. That is your Rafael Nadal. That is your Rafael Nadal at your peak, in his peak, back in 2008. And then 2 years later, he was not bad there as well, 2010, when he went and won French Open without dropping one single set. He was at his peak that year as well, because that year was the only year Rafael Nadal actually won 3 Grand Slam titles in the same year. French Open, Wimbledon, and US Open. And then 7 years later, 2017, he won French Open for the 3rd time without dropping one single set, where he destroyed Stan Wawrinka in the final. I remember Stan Wawrinka. He has commented that final afterward. I don't remember what he has exactly said, but he said something like, "I felt just completely helpless. I think he said that I just was counting the games, and I just wanted the match to finish as fast as possible because I don't want to be on the court with him." That's how helpless Stan Wawrinka felt when he faced Nadal in that French Open final 2017. And then 2020, we all know what Nadal did to Novak Djokovic in that final. And the entire tournament in that 2020 edition, Nadal won French Open for the 4th time without dropping one single set. And in that final, he completely crushed Novak Djokovic. Novak could barely win any games. I think the scoreline, if I'm not mistaken, was 6-love for Rafa in the first set, 6-2 in the second, and 7-5 in the third, if my memory is not failing me. So that is Rafa Nadal. So now we come to Alcaraz and Sinner. Alcaraz and Sinner's best beats Nadal's best. What has Alcaraz done? Alcaraz has won 11 clay court titles. All right, he has won 2 French Opens where he barely have won them. He could, with some unluck, with some bad luck, he could lost both of them, especially this that he just won against Jannik Sinner, where he did an unbelievable Houdini escape. He could easily have lost that French Open final 2025 against Jannik Sinner, where he faced 3 championship points against him. All right. 2024, he was 2 sets to love down, I should mention, with Jannik Sinner in this 2025 French Open final. He came back and won it in 5 sets. 2024, he won back-to-back 5-setters. Against Jannik Sinner, was 2-1 down and won a 5-set battle against Jannik Sinner and won that semi-final in 5 sets in the end. The same thing happened in the final against Alexander Zverev, was also 1-2 down in sets and went and did a comeback and won that final in French Open final 2024 in 5 sets. So, Alcaraz is much young, he's still in the beginning of his career, and he has already played 4 matches that has gone to 5 sets at French Open. 4 matches. 2 times against Sinner, 1 time against Zverev, 1 time against Vilas Ramos, whatever you pronounce his name. So Alcaraz has already 4 matches at French Open where he has gone to the distance. He has won all 4 of them because he's a beast in 5 sets. We all know that. But he has gone to 5 sets, right? There you have Alcaraz. Sinner was won only 1 clay court tournament in his career, and which was a small 250 class tournament back in 2021 against Carlos Alcaraz in that Umag final in Croatia. 1. That's what Sinner has as his clay court resume, all right? At French Open, he has never won. Of course, he has never won French Open. He has only 1 clay court title in his career, Jannik Sinner. But if you look French Open, he has played 3 5-setters at French Open, Jannik Sinner, and he has lost all 3 of them. 2 against Carlos Alcaraz and 1 against the German dude, Altmaier. And speaking about Sinner, he has been actually facing Nadal at French Open. Yeah, it was a different Sinner back then. It is not the same Sinner he is now. Absolutely not. But still, it was also a different Nadal. Especially at 2021, Nadal was definitely not in his peak. He was much weaker 2021, Rafael Nadal. I can guarantee you that than what the case was back in 2008, 2010, and 2017. I can guarantee you that, all right? So, Sinner faced Nadal in 2021 at French Open, lost in straight sets. 1 year earlier, Sinner faced Nadal in 2020 as well at French Open, lost in straight sets. Yeah, Sinner was much weaker. I get that, I'm not stupid. But Nadal was also much weaker than back in 2008, 2010, and 2017. All right, especially the 2021 Rafael Nadal French Open was much weaker. The 2020 Nadal at French Open was good, even though he was not super young, but he was really good. He won that 2020 French Open without dropping 1 single set. So he was good to that 2020 edition Rafael Nadal at French Open. But 2021 Rafael Nadal, he was not as good as 2020 Rafael Nadal. He defeated, anyway, Jannik Sinner in both of those French Open encounters in straight sets. So, my summary is that John McEnroe and Alcaraz has never faced Rafael Nadal at French Open. They have faced each other on clay, I believe, 2 times, if I'm not mistaken. I know that Alcaraz has defeated Nadal only once on clay. That I know, and which was in Madrid back in 2022. So that I know. That is the only time Alcaraz has defeated Nadal on clay, right? But Nadal has also defeated Carlos on clay. I think they faced each other on clay 2 times, if I'm not mistaken. It is 1-1 in clay court matches between those 2. But they have never faced each other at Roland Garros on clay. All right. My summary about John McEnroe. He's completely crazy. He is completely crazy if he believes that Alcaraz and Sinner are better than Rafael Nadal at French Open on clay when Nadal was in his prime. Nadal, for God's sakes, Alcaraz, all respect to Alcaraz, he's a beast. He will win many, many Grand Slam in the future if he's healthy. It's the same thing is with Sinner. I've done a video about these two. I'm super impressed. These two are the superstars of tennis now. They are the super alpha hunters of tennis. They are unbelievable tennis players. But they are not better than Rafael Nadal on clay when Rafael Nadal was in his prime. Absolutely not. This is maniac. This is just crazy to say, and just the problem is with John McEnroe and with many other experts, so-called, they do a classic huge mistake, and that is to be recency bias. Recency bias is a disease that many tennis experts have. I'm not a tennis expert that people see me on TV. I am a regular tennis YouTuber, but many tennis experts, personally, I believe they're crazy. And I've talked about them, like Patrick Matroglou, sometimes Mats Wilander, and now John McEnroe is going into that group as well. Mario Bartoli, to mention some. So John McEnroe is looking like an idiot when he's saying this kind of comments, to be quite honest. I respect him, I like him, I don't have anything against him, but for God's sakes, come on now. In this French Open final that we saw a couple of days ago between Sinner and Alcaraz, Sinner does 64 unforced errors, Alcaraz does 73 unforced errors. Sinner lands 54% first serve sin, Alcaraz lands 58% first serve sin. If these two dudes faces Nadal, prime Nadal, with this kind of a numbers, 54% first serve sin that Sinner landed, 58% first serve sin that Alcaraz landed, and they give Nadal a lot of second serves to look at, Nadal will take 2-3 steps back and will hit his loopy, heavy, top spin forehands that will land on the baseline, and those balls will bounce high. I will say to Sinner and Alcaraz, good luck, baby. Good luck. Nadal would have eaten those two guys like breakfast. Nadal would have taken so much advantage on their second serves. And if that was not enough, Nadal would have squeezed so many unforced errors from these two. If they do 64 unforced errors like Sinner did and 73 unforced errors like Alcaraz did against each other, you can just imagine how many unforced errors they would have done against Nadal. Roger Federer was not a weak clay court player. Novak Djokovic was not a weak clay court player. Nadal faced these two combined 10 times Djokovic, 6 times Federer, 16 times Nadal faced these two at French Open. 16 freaking times out of these 16 meetings that Nadal faced these two legends, one with 24 Grand Slam titles, Djokovic, one with 20 Grand Slam titles, Roger Federer. Nadal lost only 2 out of these 16 matches against these two. And those 2 losses were against Novak Djokovic. You see how great Nadal was on clay. You see how great Nadal was at French Open. And when Federer and Djokovic was playing clay court matches and when they were facing other players, they were looking really good. They were looking really dangerous. They were looking really solid. They were looking really consistent. And they were not doing so many unforced errors against other players. But when they came against Nadal, they were bleeding unforced errors, especially Roger Federer. Why? Because he couldn't hit through Rafael Nadal, because Nadal was a walking, running wall. Everything you hit at him, everything was coming back. And Nadal would have given the same medicine to Sinner and Alcaraz. They, of course, are heavy hitters, both Sinner and Alcaraz. But that does not mean they would have easy time hitting through Rafael Nadal in best of 5 sets in the slowest surface we have in tennis, which is clay. So what John McEnroe is saying, that Sinner and Alcaraz would have defeated prime Nadal, is completely craziness. This is completely false. That is, I absolutely don't agree with that. That is just absolutely, I don't agree with that. That is maniac comment to say. That is just crazy to say. He can have his opinion, but do I agree? Absolutely not. What McEnroe is doing a classic mistake. He's showing recency bias. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and peace.